All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're tackling business plans.
Ooh, business plans.
Yeah, the blueprints for success, right? Whether you're working on a school project,
Oh, I see.
dreaming of your own startup, or just curious about how massive companies,
Like our case study today.
exactly, Mars,
Wow, Mars.
yeah, operate. We've got this double deep dive planned. We're going to pull practical advice from business education stuff.
Straight from the classroom.
Yeah, and then we'll see how those ideas play out in the real world.
With Mars, the candy
The
jack.
candy, the pet food, the
So much more.
rice, yeah, so much more. This is gonna be good. We'll learn what a sausage sizzle can teach us.
Sausage sizzle.
Yeah, and a school comedy night about business.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, and we'll unpack how Mars handles everything from like ethically sourced cocoa.
That's huge these days.
Yeah, to keeping their employees happy for like a decade straight. Ready to get started?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, so imagine you're back in school.
Back to
Yeah, and you got to create this business plan. Maybe it's for a class or,
a real business idea.
yeah, maybe it's the real deal. Our sources, they break it down into these key steps: market research, feasibility study.
Essential.
Right, and then crafting the actual plan.
Sounds straightforward, but there's a lot packed into each of those stages.
Definitely. And here's the thing, these early steps, they're like mirrored in how big companies,
Even Mars.
yeah, Mars, how they operate. It's like constant analysis and checks.
Always making sure they're on the right track.
Exactly. So speaking of being on the right track,
Yeah.
let's talk about these school business examples. Our source mentions a sausage sizzle. I mean, classic,
Who
right?
doesn't love a good sausage sizzle?
Right. And a school comedy night.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah. Fun and relatable ways to illustrate
The core concepts.
the core concept of business.
And, even those seemingly simple ideas touch on, like, some crucial business elements.
For sure.
Like, even with a sausage sizzle, you got to think target audience.
Okay, yeah.
How are you going to market it? What about, like, the logistics, costs?
And what if it rains?
Or you bring all the sausages.
Oh, disaster.
It's a mini version of what every business deals with,
That's a really good point. And then our source also mentions students
Students doing what?
designing websites for local businesses. That's more complex, right?
Definitely a step up. It's like they're finding a need in the market
A real need.
and filling it. We see this all the time in the business world.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're seeing how these school projects,
They're like mini business simulations.
yeah, they kind of are. They echo the challenges,
And the opportunity.
yeah, of real businesses. But let's talk about this framework that helps businesses really analyze.
Analyze what?
Well, analyze those challenges and opportunities. It's called a SWOT analysis.
SWOT.
Yeah, SWOT. It stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Okay, I've heard of SWOT analysis. But how does it actually work
Well, it's a powerful tool,
for anyone in business?
Yeah. Whether you're running a small venture or a giant corporation, it forces you to, look at your business.
From all sides.
Yeah, from all sides. What are you good at?
What are you not so good at?
What opportunities are out there?
And what could trip you up?
Exactly. And this SWOT analysis, it's going to be our bridge
Our bridge
to the Mars case study.
Ooh, getting to the good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff. It's so fascinating to see how all these concepts, from market research to SWOT analysis,
They come alive.
yeah, how they play out in a real company.
A company like Mars.
Exactly. We're going to see how a company that's been around for over a century uses these principles to not just survive,
To thrive.
to thrive, yeah, in this crazy, constantly changing global market.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so we've got our business planning basics down, right? From that market research to SWOT analysis.
The building blocks
Yeah, the building blocks. And now we get to apply it all.
to a real company.
Mars.
No.
Get ready for the Mars deep dive.
This is exciting. A company with a history, right? Over a century.
Over a century. And they're constantly evolving.
Adapting?
Yeah, adapting to all the changes, but they always keep their eye on the ball when it comes to,
Values.
yeah, their values, their principles. Full disclosure.
Oh,
Reading about their products may or may not have led to a raid of the office snack stash.
I see. The M&Ms we're calling.
The M&Ms were calling, but seriously, it's amazing.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive how they've built this global empire, and it's not just candy, right? It's pet food. It's
Yeah.
right.
They've got their fingers in a lot of pies.
They do, and that's actually a a great example of one of their strengths, right?
Which is it?
Diversification.
Not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Exactly. They're spreading the risk. So if one market, takes a hit,
They've got others to cushion the fall.
exactly. It's a classic business move.
A strength used to address a potential weakness.
Yeah, like over-reliance on just one product or market. And
Right.
it's not just what they make, it's
How they make it.
how they make it, yeah. The case study talks about their commitment to like high-quality ingredients and ethical sourcing.
Especially the cocoa.
Yeah, the cocoa supply chain, that's going to be tough to manage, right? On a global scale.
It's definitely complex. Ethical sourcing is a big deal these days.
Huge.
And for a company like Mars, it's both a strength and potentially a threat. Like, on the one hand, it builds their brand reputation.
People trust them more.
Right, consumers care about where their products come from.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, ensuring ethical practices all over the world.
That's a lot of ground to cover.
It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
They need to be constantly checking, making sure everything's up to their standard.
It's a constant effort.
It is. But for Mars, ethical sourcing, it's a chance to stand out, to show they're doing things the right way.
To build a sustainable business.
Exactly. But it also means managing those potential risks.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure. It's really interesting to see how all these different SWOT elements,
How they connect.
yeah, how they connect. Oh, and another thing that stood out to me in the case study,
With that.
Mars employees, they've ranked the company as a great place to work
Really?
for 10 years running.
Wow, 10 years in a row, that says a lot.
That's going to count for something, right?
It definitely does. Happy employees, positive work environment,
Those are strengths.
big strengths.
Yeah.
When your employees feel valued, they're more productive, they stick around longer, and it creates this, like, positive company culture.
It's a good look for attracting talent, too.
Absolutely. People want to work for companies that treat their employees well.
So it's not just about being nice. It's a smart business move.
It all ties back to the bottom line.
It does. So we've got this picture of Mars, right? Successful, ethical, happy employees, but
There's always a but.
there's always a but. What threats are they facing?
Well, like any business, there's competition. Consumer tastes change. And then there's the whole economic climate.
It can be unpredictable.
Exactly. And for Mars specifically, there are challenges with that global cocoa supply chain we talked about.
Right, like what kind of challenges?
Well, things like political instability in the regions where they source their cocoa.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, it can disrupt the supply. And then there's climate change impacting how much cocoa is even grown.
That's a big one.
It is. And then on top of that, you've got fluctuating prices for cocoa.
So many factors.
It's a complex web.
Oh.
So even with all their strengths and opportunities, Mars has to be on their toes.
Always looking ahead.
Exactly. And that's where the SWOT analysis really shines.
It helps them navigate all of that.
It's not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process. Companies like Mars, they use it to stay agile, to adapt to all those changes,
To make good decisions.
and stay ahead of the game.
We covered some serious ground today, huh?
We did, from those school projects to Mars.
It's kind of wild how those business planning ideas, they work on so many levels.
There's the connections, right? You start digging and suddenly,
Things click into place.
exactly, it's like that puzzle, each piece.
Adds to the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's it.
So for you, after all this, what's the big takeaway? What do you hope our listener walks away thinking about?
I think for me, it's realizing that at its heart, business is about problem solving.
Problem solving.
Yeah, whether it's that sausage sizzle fundraiser or leading a company like Mars.
It's all about finding a need and offering a solution.
Exactly. And all the tools we talked about, the market research, the SWOT analysis,
They help you solve those problems.
more effectively, yeah.
That's such a good point. It makes it all seem less intimidating.
Breaks it down.
Yeah, it does. So for our listener out there, the one thinking, okay, cool, but what about me? What would my business be? What would you tell them?
Start with what you love, right? Your passions, what problems get you fired up, what do you want to solve?
Find that spark.
Yeah, and then use what we've learned. Do your research, figure out your audience, your strengths, the opportunities, the threats.
Don't be afraid to dream big, but
Keep it real, too.
yeah, got to balance it out. Before we wrap up, one last thought to chew on.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine you're writing your own business plan.
My own business plan.
What would your SWOT analysis look like? What are you bringing to the table? What's going to be tough? How will you handle it?
Those are the questions, right? The ones that get you thinking
That spark the ideas.
and lead to something amazing. And remember, There's help out there. Mentors, advisors, online stuff, books.
You don't have to go it alone.
Not at all.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into business planning. We hope you learned a thing or two, maybe even got inspired.
To start something new.
Yeah, to start something new. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and
Keep diving deep.
keep diving deep.
No.